If you remember the three-point line to be closer than what you remember it to be at some point in your life, don't be alarmed, it's not a Mandela effect. You're in fact correct. In 1994, the NBA shortened its line almost 2 feet closer to the hoop. This lasted for 3 seasons before the NBA reverted back to its old line. Almost 30 years later, the three-point shot has completely changed the way basketball is played today in the NBA. Teams are attempting double the amount of threes than they were 10 years ago. Less mid-range jump shots are being taken by players, and it feels like while watching the game on TV, it's either a three-point shot or a layup or dunk. How did we get here? Did the NBA plan this? This is the history and evolution of the three-point line and its shot. Did the NBA invent the three-point line? No, the three-point line was first introduced in the American Basketball League in 1961 for 1.5 seasons before the league folded. It was then adopted by the American Basketball Association, also known as the ABA, in which they introduced it in their first season as a league. In 1976, the ABA would merge with the NBA, but the three-point line didn't appear until the 79 and 80 season. The line was known as the 25-footer, but was actually 23 feet 9 inches, which is still the same distance as it is today. The idea of the three-point line didn't sit well with the players and coaches. Most thought it was a gimmick or ploy to draw more crowds. Even with the implementation of the three-point line in the 80s, teams were only shooting a handful of threes. Many players didn't implement this in their game until it was introduced into the league first, for obvious reasons, as the NBA was now the only level of competition with the three-point line. During that time with the new line in place, coaches had a system and prided on making sure players ran their offense. If your coach's system didn't include the three-point shot and you were a player that was looking to play a lot of minutes, you would listen to the coach by any means. When the three-point line was implemented, it was something the league was trying. Many of the coaches didn't think it would be around the following year, so why include it into your offense? But it stuck, and it very slowly gained its popularity in the league. The first player to break 100 threes in a single season was Danny Ainge with 148 made threes with the Boston Celtics in the 87 and 88 season. The existing record at the time was 92, held by Chris Ford. That is still less than 2 threes a game. During the early 90s, points per game were very low compared to the 80s, and the NBA realized that. While the NBA realized this, they did something to increase the scoring production. They did something drastic. In the 1993-94 season, the NBA shortened its line from 23 feet 9 inches to 22 feet. Why the NBA did this? It's quite obvious. They wanted to increase the scoring. More scoring means more highlight plays, means more entertainment. More. Did it work? Sort of. John Starks broke the record in the 94-95 season with the Knicks, making 217 threes, so that was entertaining, I guess. As far as increase in scoring, the numbers were up slightly, but not what the league had expected. Let me explain. The number of three-point shot attempts increased. The number of points per team was actually decreasing, so it was obvious. The NBA didn't get the result they wanted. They wanted to increase scoring and thought that if they increased the three-point attempts, that was the way. So the NBA decided to move the line back to the original spot for the 97 and 98 season. The answer to increase scoring is to increase possessions, as they have already done this in today's game. I do think Michael Jordan had something to do with why the line wasn't very popular. You see, MJ was the face of the league and had just returned to the NBA after retirement. The whole world was put on notice and watching MJ. MJ never did shoot a lot of threes in general, but when the line was moved closer in the 2 years that he played with it, he averaged about 3 three-point attempts a game. Not a lot considering he shoots about 25 shots a game. Everyone wanted to be like Mike.
Like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
Mike's game wasn't the three-point line, it was a mid-range and post-up dunk-in-your-face type game. Basketball culture tends to gravitate to playing styles of the most popular players in the league, so much so that it can change the way the game is played. Jordan did it, then Allen Iverson's crossover and the whole and one mixtape era. Everyone wanted to do street ball tricks and pick-up games. Vince Carter had his dunks, and everyone wanted to increase the vertical jump and dunk the basketball. Then there was Kobe. Every shot I took, I yelled Kobe, and I'm sure I'm missing a few more players. Notice the players I mentioned aren't considered three-point shooters. Then there was this guy, who I believe had the most profound effect on the NBA and the game of basketball that we may ever see, changing it for the foreseeable future. Not only would he be breaking records, but he was making shots with such difficulty and beyond human range that we'd ever seen. Just look at this. His accuracy from beyond 25 feet was incredible. He gave you that feeling every time he shot the ball. We all believed it was going in. It felt like magic. In the 2012-13 season, Steph broke the record for the most threes in a single season with 272, beating Ray Allen's record of 269. He then broke his own records twice in the next 2 seasons with 286 and then destroying it again by over 100 more threes with 402. That's almost 5 three-pointers a game. Whether you like him or hate him, he's the greatest shooter of all time. The three-point shot isn't slowing down either. Teams are shooting more threes than they ever have, and with greater efficiency. In the 2017 and 18 season, Golden State were 17th in threes attempts in the league. They shot 2,370 shots and recorded 40% from the field as a team.
What?
Well, almost 40%. Maybe they need to move the line like before, but further. Recently, there has been a lot of talk about a 4-point line. You may have seen this at the All-Star game. I think the NBA is slowly trying to get their fans used to this idea. This line is halfway between the 3-point line and the center line. This could put the line from 28 to 35 feet. The NBA is always trying to find ways to improve their product and entertain their fan base. Part of that is having higher scoring games, as we're already seeing a 4-point shot in Ice Cube's Big 3 League. It's just a matter of time before I do a video on the history of the 4-point shot in the NBA.